Okay, so I think I'm going to share this since it's fresh in my mind. So I just finished a gym session and I'm doing biceps, and I will say this is the most grueling session I've ever had because I got to a point where I was sore. Normally, normally your muscles don't get sore until maybe perhaps a day or two after. Because many times you'll go to sleep and when you wake, you're not sore. You'll feel it like the following day. And I'm sore. And I was thinking to myself, I have to push through this because I was sore. I was on my third set. I'm doing 5 sets. And I was sore because there was a there was a routine I was doing that was it was more causing strain. I would have gotten injured. It gave my back good support, but I was feeling too much pain on my deltoids. So um, I thought it would be best to just double up on another workout. So I had I had a routine that was barbells, but it was more weight than what I was doing with those dumbbells, and I had to be standing. So you know, I had to ensure that I kept my abdominals firm and I was there pushing through, and I doubled up on that and I felt sore, and I was like, you know what, I'm going to push through this. And interestingly enough, I'm listening to David Goggins' Can't Hurt Me. And it was in the first part of the audiobook, and it's talking about motivation is crap, and I was like, yeah, that's true, because I'm all about discipline, not motivation. And sorry, and here's the thing, I'm sore. I do some other sets, and I get back to those barbells, which, as I said, is heavier, much heavier than the dumbbells, and I push through again, and I do some other workouts, and I go back to barbells again. I'm on the fifth set now because I started feeling sore after on the third set of all those routines, and I'm pushing through. And of course, I got through all 5 sets of all the routines, but then I start hearing the part of Goggins' life where he talks about his abusive father. And I will say, growing up, I always despised hearing the things that abusive men did. Abusive men who that hurt women and men that hurt children. I always feel this hatred in my heart for them. I mean, of course, we all normal people would hate abusive men, but it had me thinking, those men provide fuel for one of the most destructive, one of the most uh, they are the demise of the family. They are one of the most chaotic, hateful organizations, or should I say movements, in this world, the feminist movement. Abusive men provide so much fuel for this axis of evil. Because I'm thinking about it and I'm saying, one would think a man who has come up with this incredible story, but had a father who would beat him and his brother, and they had to be careful of the clothes they wore because they didn't want the signs of abuse to show. They their mother got beaten for sometimes not even saying anything, just looking, glaring at him, at their father. And I got to a point where she caught him chatting up a girl. Now, his father was like 27 years, 17 years older than his mother. But the girl he was chatting up was, I don't know what their age was at the time, but the girl was 10 years younger than his mother, right? Now, all she did was glare at him because she knew that they had sex. They would have sex, and I'm sure he would have sex with other women because she was like a prostitute, that he trafficked in, and there were others. Um, but his mother caught his father with her having sex once, right? Now the thing is, he's a despicable man, and these idiots, these brainwashed. I'm saying some are idiots because some are perfectly aware of reality. Um, some of them are just evil because they know that all men aren't the same. Like, to hear about the behavior of a man doing the things he does to hurt women. I'm not talking about prostitution. I'm talking about abusing his own family. When I say abuse, he physically hurt his sons, physically hurt his wife. He beat her the same night that she glared at him because she realized what he was doing. And of course, the police didn't do anything, but because it was back in those days. But the thing is, the power is not in Me Too. The power is not in feminism. The power is in men and women seeing wrong and calling it out and taking action. Because he would, his father was a charismatic man, right? Read the book. Read the book. Can't Hurt Me. You'll understand. His father was a charismatic man. So, um, police would hear stuff like that and be convinced, or some would not want to tear a family apart, right? But the fact is, there are some evil men in this world, and they are just a fraction. Like, it's like having a hand, and I have a bad nail, and I'm going to cut off my entire hand because of that bad nail. I would have to be an idiot. That's the amount of abusive men. Because if you think about it, of all men, you have some men that are alphas, some that are sigma, some that are betas, some that are abusive. Some of them might even be in the alpha group as well. But um, it's all a fraction. They're all separate sections. There are some that are very introverted, some that are extroverted, some that are in between. You know, it's Men may be simple, but men are not. Uh, Men are not a book that we have all read. Each man is very simple, but every man is not the same. Just like how every woman is not the same. However, there are some common traits that flow between all men, flow between all women. And none of those traits involve abusing women. So why is it that these idiots, these foolish feminists, will talk about men who have abused them and used them, and many times they are those men like Goggins' father, and they women will know that these men are trouble and go after them, or they'll give them the time of day. They'll spread their legs for these men, knowing very well that um, something's not right. The thing is, just like how a man can date a woman, feel her out, get to know what she's like and know, okay, she's trouble. Women can also feel out a man and see if he's trouble. But many times when a guy has some alpha traits, many, I don't want to say most women, will spread their legs for this dude because he's an alpha. She's not going to be like, oh, I need to get to know him. We know that women make rules for betas and break rules for alphas. So they're lying when they say, oh, he deceived me, and you're not a child unless you're an idiot. You progress things very fast when it's some sort of alpha type dude. And when he beats you, or when he cheats on you, or does anything that rationally is wrong, rationally I'm saying no, because people's understanding of right and wrong is messed up. When these men do stuff that's rationally wrong, they say men are dogs, which, as one lady said, I don't remember her name, psychologist. Anyway, yeah, she said men are dogs, which is true. We are dogs. We're faithful, we're loving, we're loyal. Yeah, that's what we are. We'll stay with you for life. But many women will go take a piece of shit, because this piece of shit looks good, smells good, you know, they go get a taste, it tastes good. And then as a piece of shit starts stinking, they'll say, oh, men are this, men are that. Because I just find it, I've heard a few stories from men of influence talking about being abused. And, it always like makes my skin crawl because it's not something I would ever want to experience. I grew up on an island with predominantly black people. So we, growing up as children, we'd get in our fights. We'll do all the things that kids do. We never grew up soft. So while I may not go around punching people, um, none of us grew up soft. I never went to a prep school. I never, you know, I grew up among the normal average people. You don't like somebody, you get in a fight. And then you either beat the person up or you get beaten up, and then it ends there. Or if it's something where it goes to the point where you go call a crew and your crew goes and fights their crew, whatever. You know, that's getting complicated now. But I never grew up soft, and yet I would never think that it would be right for a man to hurt a child or hurt a woman. And yet, these idiot feminists think that men are the problem. It's dumb decisions. You know what's funny is a man, when he gets hurt by a poor, low quality woman, will self reflect and say, all right, I saw some signs. Let me go back out there and date, but I'll look for those signs. And he'll look for those signs and he'll try and avoid. Or if it's somebody who's pretending well, when he realizes the signs, he'll eventually end it. A woman will, because of her hypergamous nature, see the signs, say he was a terrible man, I never made any bad decisions, meets another dude, he has the same traits, but he's alpha, just like the previous dude. And she goes and she makes the same mistake and she continues. She'll go through 5 alpha dudes and she'll reject 20 beta dudes and then say that men are dogs, men are horrible, and all this crap. Stupidity. It's interesting. I'm listening to the book, and the first thing I thought was, yeah, this dude's dad was like really alpha. He referred to him like the mayor of their town. He knew people. He was, his domain was his business. They made money. He had a bar upstairs and he had a skating ring there, and people of influence would interact with him. And of course, I'm sure he made money from the trafficking that he did. You know, Alpha type dude, attractive to women. And I say women because he had his baby mother who he did marry, and other women were flocking to him. That's the type of dude that they want. And then they're complaining, these idiots, that men, no, the men you're choosing. Because today, yesterday, tomorrow, next week, last year, women were with good men, left them because they thought there was somebody else out there better. And women will continue to leave and reject good men, waiting on that perfect person they want. And when he beats the crap out of you, then you talk garbage. In fact, uh, previ- previously listening to this audiobook, I was listening to another book, and there was this dude quoting statistics on the amount of men who have to be paying alimony and child maintenance for children who they have no access to. That's like me going to a supermarket and just paying out money and not getting any goods in return, or paying my insurance and getting no coverage. That's ridiculous. In fact, one of the biggest evils is sexless marriages. How do you, as a human being, sign a contract in writing and verbally to do certain things, and in the execution of that contract, it's a lifelong contract, in the execution of that contract, you violate the terms of it? You know what? Maybe if wives got sued for uh, absconding from their matrimonial duties, then perhaps these women who close their legs when their husband wants intimacy, if they got sued, maybe they would stop doing this crap. Because the brainwashing, you know, the thing about it too, I think the thing that really triggered me to make this video is the part that's where Goggins said the father intentionally did not put any of his money in a bank account in her name. He wanted to have financial control over her. And I thought, these idiots have no idea of balance, no idea of balance. It's like you know, you have to balance it. But the feminists, they think that to make things better or equitable for a woman, everything should be like this. And that's stupidity. Balance is required because, and let's imagine, in fact, perhaps let's do it this way. You know why? Because, yeah, this is it. You know why it's like this? Relationships are like this now. Let's imagine The Bible says woman is a weaker vessel, and it is true, physically and psychologically. And don't tell any lies. Men have men may vent less, but they go through the same struggles as women, same mental struggles. However, they regulate their emotions better, and they will endure hardship better. So imagine this being women, this side being men, and now that we have we have adjusted some laws to make things more equitable, which means equal. We have given more equality to women, for whom much is given, much is expected. Remember when men had total power over their wives, they were financially responsible for the wife. They were responsible for her security and all the stuff that comes with being a husband. Now that women are equal to men in the eyes of the law, they, in many cases, don't want to contribute 50% of, remember, equality now, which, to be honest, I'm a traditional man. I don't believe in this equality crap, right? I'll provide. If you want to work and help me out, no problemo. But I'm responsible for your security, your well-being. And while I will listen to what you say, because two heads are better than one, and if I'm with you, you're an intelligent woman that can help me. However, the buck stops with me. So if a bad decision is made, it's because I took your advice, I weighed it with information I have, just like a CEO. I'm the CEO of the family, and I made a decision. When it goes wrong, when it goes right, it's it's my decision based on your advice, and when it goes wrong, it's still my decision based on your advice. I was thinking, should I say it's a team effort, but it wouldn't be right to say when it goes right it was our decision. You know why? Because that's the reverse of what women do, which is she does something wrong and it's your fault or it's our fault. And when she does it right, she says it's her decision. Nope, 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 nope. So anyway, the buck stops with me, and I take your advice, which many times could even be the correct thing. But the thing is, I'm kind of losing my chain of thought. Let me try to get back there. But you know, back in the day, everything, the entire responsibility was um little stiffness from the workout. Um the all the responsibility was on the man. So now that you have equality, even though I do agree that the brunt is on the man, if women are demanding all this equality crap, then you go 50% of the bills, I do 50%. If you're going to do that, and when something goes bump in the night, as Dave Chappelle said, you go and check it out. Like, okay, Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays are my day for security. Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. Let me see. Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays, yeah, are yours. And Sundays, both of us will go. So we'll do the timetable. So 3 days per week, I'm in charge of security. The other three, you take the gun or the knife or whatever Krav Maga skills you learned. You go out there and you check out if there's a criminal or so. And Sundays, both of us go out. That's equality. You see, as I kept saying, it's a balancing act. But women, are feminists. They they want to um they want to do it like that, you know. Yeah, put everything over there, give us everything. Yeah. hmm that's what's going on now with relationships. It's a balancing act, right? So it's delicate, but this selfishness that's going on, no, I can't get it to balance right. This selfishness that's going on is not going to work, right? It's not going to work. These idiot feminists, they need to understand the reality of things. Because when men had complete responsibility, they had authority. And we know with everything, there will be some persons who exploit power. There are politicians that exploit power. Are we killing all of them? Are we locking them up all in jail? No. We wait until we find out who is wrong, right? And then we punish them. So, because a few men exploited their power and abused women and used their financial autonomy over women and used it as a prison, these idiots were like, oh, we want to be financially independent. And yet, those financially independent women, most of them don't want a man. So I'm thinking, well, there's a lot to unpack here. So let me not get into that. But um, finances now have actually made women be comfortable with being single. In fact, many of them have slept around for so many years. I say slept around because women are you guys are such liars. You act like, oh, you don't need sex like the rest of us, like us men, you know. So I'm like, is it that all these women that are educating themselves and moving up the corporate ladder are are replacing the men with their hands? Is that what's going on? Or they're sleeping around? And when I say sleeping around, I'm just talking, casual relationships. I'm just talking, you know, the relationship here and there that they know is not going to lead to marriage, but they do it anyway because really the things that they would find attractive in a man, they don't anymore because they're like, oh, well, I make money, he makes money. I'm more assertive. He's assertive, but because they're becoming like men, so they're having the same traits that men have. So because they have it, it's not attractive in a man. That's screwed up. That is absolutely screwed up. So how can you balance, right? When the feminine, the feminine is about nurturing, the feminine is about encouraging, and yet women are masculine. It's stupid. Absolutely stupid. It is so stupid that they use these small amount of men that abuse women. It's like abusive men are this amount, this little black amount of, and imagine men start from here up, and this is all men, and you have the abusers, and the idiots are going to use that to say yes, this, I mean, yes, women, go ahead and vote, you're human beings, go ahead and vote, no problem. But this thing where you know you pack these universities up doing the social sciences and come out in working in low paying jobs or lower paying jobs, and then want to get the same amount of pay as an engineer or a pilot, somebody who has extreme levels of difficulty. Somebody who is on the oil rig putting his life at risk and making $100,000 per year, and you're in a classroom teaching something, I don't know, or you're a social worker and you want to get the same money as him, you're crazy. That's feminist stupidity. I tell you, idiots. You know, but I'm just thinking rationally. I'm just thinking as a human being should. And yet, these idiots, stiffness, rough workout, as I said, right? Um, they actually believe that they're getting paid 75 cents for every dollar. You're an idiot. Male and female social workers are getting paid the same amount of money. You're just being stupid. You're just being greedy. That's why. Greedy. Because these studies don't even take into consideration um, difference in career choice. It just talks about men and women. Stupid. All they did was say, okay, men over here, women over here. Let's just add up all the money and divide it by whatever the mean is. Yeah, mean, right? Yeah, that's stupid. Because if you get if you get 10 guys and 8 of them are engineers, are in some technical field, medicine, law, and 2 of them are social workers, and you get 10 women and 8 of them are social sciences, that crap, and maybe one of them is a lawyer and one is a medical doctor, then of course you're going to get lower amounts of pay for women. But these idiots, idiots. Well, I think I've said enough, but I'm even thinking about this movie it was a series, North and South. It was about the American Civil War, and I don't remember, it was Madeline Stowe. I don't remember, but there were some familiar faces, at least two familiar faces. But it had this part where this girl, she got married. She was forced into a marriage with this asshole, and he abused her, even though, and she was in love with the protagonist, and eventually she had to divorce him. Oh, and I think, in fact, I think that asshole was the commanding officer of the protagonist. I don't even remember if they ended up on different sides of the war, but North it was American Civil War. If you guys didn't catch on, right? I don't remember if they ended up on different sides, but the thing is, she ended up divorcing him and going to be with the main character. And I thought the